Hi everybody, this is Pat in the paper closet. Glad you returned today. Today we're going to be finishing up the third part of our daily journal that we've been making. It's our 140 page, 4¼ by 6¼ inch journal. We've made the cover, we've cut all our pages. You should have all your papers cut by now, scored and folded. And I'm going to start. First we're going to put in our inside cover lining. Get that done so it can dry. So I've cut mine at, let's see, 6½ by 4¼ There's two of them, one for each side. So we're going to glue those down. Get our glue going today. It was working a minute ago. There we go. So we're just going to glue around the edges, as we always do. In the corners, not too much glue. All the way around. One more side. And in the middle. We want this to harden. Give our cover a little bit more stiffness. So, you don't want to saturate it, just cover well. Okay, no direction on this paper, so we don't have to worry about that. And I'm just going to line it up with my bottom left corner here, giving it about 1/8 inch all around. Move it up a little bit. That looks good. Okay, now press it down. Make sure your corners are down good. All your edges are glued down. Corners, my edges. Edge of this side so it doesn't get in the way of our binding. As usual, I go around, make sure there's no glue oozing out. And that's one side. Okay, now we're going to do the second one. Same way. Glue all around and in the middle. Hitting the corners. You don't want your corners coming up. Almost, one more side. Hit the corner and the middle. Giving it a good coating of glue. It's not too thick. Okay. Now we can put this side down. This one I'm going to match up on the right hand side. Give it that 1/8 inch all around. And press it down. Spreading out our glue. Getting the corners well. And the sides. Wiping it up just to make sure. Okay, we have our inside liners done. So we've covered up our binder strip that we put in the middle, not interfering with our closure. So we're going to start working on our pages. Before I do that, I just want to tell you, this book I made it to fit, so that if you want, you can put a few photos in here. The 4x6 photos fit perfectly. However, don't print them on a heavy photo paper, because if you start putting thick pages in here, it's going to give it that alligator look on the front, you know, where it bulges up. So this I printed on, it's called HP, let me get the package. This is it, HP Everyday Photo Paper. This is a 33-pound paper. It's made for printing photos, and it's more like paper than photo paper. See, it's thin. However, the prints last a long time, and they don't take up a lot of bulk in your book. So I print a few of these that I want, and I put them in my journal, just so I have a nice remembrance when I'm going through it. And it's also it's much cheaper than buying photo paper, regular photo paper. It's not glossy, it's matte. So you don't have that shiny look to it, but you don't have light reflecting off it either. So I like that a lot. Just a little tip. Okay, now let's get to our pages. Okay, you should have yours all cut, folded, scored, and all together, looking like this, stacked one on top of the other. The smallest is in the center, the biggest is on the outside, which is the 7/8 inch size, and we're going to start gluing them together. Now I'm not going to glue them directly in the book. I'm going to start gluing them together in a pile. So lay it out with your widest one on top, and take one sheet with your folds. In other words, this would be the right side up, upside down. And then take the second one. This is what we're going to glue. So we're going to put the glue inside here. Now be very light on your glue so you don't wrinkle up all your papers. I'll show you as I go. Inside of that area between the two fold lines. It doesn't take a lot, it's very easy to do. Just go up the middle of the paper to the top. Get a little glue at the top and at the bottom. Okay, now make sure it's going in the same direction. You see my folds are facing up. And line it up at the bottom with your other line and the bottom of your page. And press it down. Actually, we should be going this way. Work your folds as you go so they stay creased. So we should be facing this way. This, because all our pages are going to go one on top of the other till we get down to the smallest one. So you'll put your glue on the back of your page, along here. See the folds are facing downward? Put the glue on there. As I said, don't put too much glue. You don't want it all wrinkling up. They'll stay glued together because they're paper. They're not cardstock. Just go down the middle, not over the folds. Get some over the edge on both ends, and lay this on top of the other. Matching up the folds in this case. When we get to a different size, it will be different. Matching up your folds, the bottom edge of the paper and the corners, and then press it down. Okay, continuing, we're still on the same size. I think we're on page 4. Again, on the outside, page folding down, lightly glued, good coverage. You don't want the pages falling out. Over the edge, just spreading it over the edge. Okay. Lining up our folds in the bottom of our pages. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I'm not in camera here. Let me raise this up a little bit. Looking very grainy. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Let's see if I can get back in. That's better. Oh, much better. Okay. Press this one down. That's 4 pages. So this would be the last one of our 7/8 inch size. Put in glue. Same spots all along. This may seem like a long process, but it goes quick. Just pressing out some glue to the edge. Cover your edges. You don't want it popping up. Lining up with the folds in the bottom of your pages and the corners. They don't have to be exact. Okay, pressing it down. So that completes our first set of 5. You see right now it's buckling up, but when it dries it will flatten out. So that's our first set of 5. Now I'll begin. When I do this, this is our second set. This will be the 3/4 inch space. So you'll line it up in the middle between the 2 lines that you already have going. So they're centered. Okay, same process. Gluing. They're going to be slightly smaller than the first 5 because these are now 3/4 inch. So you just center them in the middle of the binding part. Make sure your edges have a little glue on them. Centering in the middle, in between the 2 other previous lines. Lining up your bottom. Now as your pages begin to get smaller, you're not going to line up at both side edges, but we do want to line up on the bottom. Pressing it down. Just making sure my pages are not gluing together. Now they're looking well. And then rather than have you sit and watch me glue all these pages together, I'm going to do them off camera. And then I'll come back and we'll insert the whole pile into our book. So we'll continue and I'll continue. And we'll have this done in a few minutes. Okay, I'll be back in a few. Howdy, I'm back. I've glued all my pages except for my last section. I'm up to my 1/8 inch binding. So we're going to finish that up. They've glued together well. The pages are looking good. Not quite dry, but almost. You can see a few little ripples there, but they will flatten out. So we're going to finish this up and glue it in the book. Now it goes quicker now because you see we have very thin binding area. So I'm going to put the glue in here instead of on the paper, on the page. So I hope you can see what I'm doing here. Just in that space in between the two fold lines. Not too much now, we don't have too much area to work with. We don't want glue squeezing out. Just get the edges good. Take your page. This one's going to go right in between the two fold lines of the previous size. Lining up with the bottom. Press down a little bit. And giving it a tap so our pages are even. Now we can press it down in the middle. And we gotta press. It takes a few seconds for the glue to grab. That looks good. Okay, that's that one, that's one. Now we're going to do the next one, same thing. I'm having a little trouble seeing where my lines are here. My lighting is not too good. Not too much. The ends, don't skimp on the ends. We want it to hold together there. Take your next page. Now this one is the same size, so we can just line it up with our previous lines. Get it down a little bit. Give it a tap. And then press it down. Make sure you press the ends down real good. You don't want them coming apart. Our next one. Same thing, right down the middle. Some on the end. Make sure you have coverage on the end. These are the same size, so you just line up your folds. Down slightly. Tap everything together. Now we can press it down. This part is going quicker. As you move, oops, I knocked it out, see? You have to let your glue dry a little. I'm in a rush. Give it a minute, about 10 seconds or so. Lift up the page a little. We're almost finished. We have 2 more left. Okay, same process, down the middle. At the ends. Lining them up in the middle. Can't see. Looks good. Give it a second. And then tap them so they're even. Don't forget, this is a handmade book. It's not going to look like machine made. Things are not going to be perfectly even. Any glue coming out, make sure you wipe it up. The pages will all stick together. Okay, that's good. Let's go this way. Okay, one more to go. Press it down. Last one. If I could see my folds, that would be good. There. I can see where one fold is. So that's good. On the end. And my page. These are the same size as the last 5 that were 1/8 of an inch. Okay, give it a tap. Looks good. Give it a press. Carefully now, your pages are, the binding edge is very tiny. It moves very easily. Make sure you don't have any glue there. And that's it. We have all our pages together. I'm going to give them a few seconds to stick. Can you see the edges are rather even along the top? Now because the bindings are shrinking as we go, you see our pages move in. That's normal. They're not going to be perfectly straight, but that's fine. Let it dry for a minute before we go moving it. Okay, now we bring our outside binding together. Can you see how they were all stacked up? As they were when we just had them folded, but now they're glued. They're all glued in. I'm going to give these last few a good fold. It really didn't take that long. Because as I said, as you're getting more closer to the inside of the binding area is getting smaller and smaller. So there's less to glue. They're not as big as the outside where we started. Okay, it looks good. Now, kind of press to the side, this fold right here, and sort of press it to the side so all our pages fold down. And turn it over and do the same thing on this side. Not too hard. You just want to see that your pages are all in there, folded well. And see what I meant? The edges are not going to be even. You could, if you want, take a rotary cutter and a metal ruler and try getting through this whole pile, but they come out rather raggedy, so I don't bother. It doesn't stick out of the book. See, when we put our binding in the book, you close up the book, and it's fine. It's okay. The last thing we have to do is to glue a binding into our book. I think I'm going to put the glue on the cover itself. Not quite going to the folds, because our 7/8 are not quite as big as the binding. That between the folds is about 1 inch. So just stay inside the folds a little bit. Getting an even coating. We want this to stay in our book. We don't want it to come out. Nice even coating. A little bit past the edge here. I went out of the edge, you see that? Stay inside the folds. Make sure you've got some good glue on the ends. And I'm just spreading it around now. I'm not squeezing the bottom. Spreading it around. Okay, now I'm trying to see which way I can turn this so that you can see. I'm gonna try to line it up and then I'll show you what I'm doing. We don't want to be up to that fold. You want 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and 1/4 of an inch from the top and inside the fold. Let me get it down and I'll show you. And lift your covers up just to make sure you're not in the fold. I'm going to be right in between the two. See, that works fine. Now we have to hold it there for a couple of seconds, let it start to dry, and then we'll open it up and flatten it out. Carefully. Get a little wiggle room while it's still wet. I should have moved it up a little bit further, but I'm not going to move it now. It's starting to stick. Wiping off the excess glue I put there. I'm a little down too far, but it's okay. I still have space at the bottom. You just don't want the pages all the way to the end of your cover. Keep pressing it down, not moving it. Hold it in place. Okay, it's starting to hold, and I'm going to open this out and press. It worked out pretty good because, see, we want a little area around the whole book. You don't want your pages even with the cover or they'll stick out the sides of your cover. So let's keep pressing this down. You want to make sure this dries well. This is what's holding it in your book. We can turn it over and press down here. Carefully. I want to let this dry a little bit before I try turning pages. See, these last pages that I did, they really haven't bubbled up at all. As long as you don't put too much glue in there, you're good. Just enough, but not soak it. Okay, I'll let this dry now. Don't try writing in it or turning pages or anything until this binding dries into the book. Right now I'm putting extra pressure on the ends. I want to make sure they stay down. Alright. I'm not going to fool around with it. I'm going to let it dry. And it's going to look like this. Only a different color, of course. Now on this one I just did a vinyl sticker. I made something different for this one. Maybe I'll do an apostrophe or a quotation mark. Or I could put a word. You can decorate the front. Just don't make it too bulky. Nothing that really pops out, because this is something you'll be picking up and down a lot. And like I said, you can put photos in here also. So it's a daily journal with room full of 3 photos. Another one here. I haven't glued these in yet. Don't know where I'm going to put them yet. So that's our daily journal. So I hope you've been trying to make one along with me. If not, come back and set up the videos, part 1, part 2, and part 3. And work along with them. And before long, you'll have a journal. This cover is very hard. This one is with chipboard. This one that we made is with the cereal box cardboard. It's hard. It's very hard. So that worked out well. Okay, so I hope to see you in the next video. And I hope if you like this video, any help at all, please hit the like button. And also hit the subscribe button. And then you can get notifications on when I put up the next videos. And I'll see you soon. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.